and Merry Christmas and welcome to my new rankings video. Today I'm going to be going through all the endings from the James Bond films and ranking them from worst to best. And if you think that's a bit of a lackluster title screen, then look a little closer and you may just spot Max Zorin plummeting to his doom at the end of A View to a Kill. Now let me just clarify what I mean by ending. So if we take Diamonds Are Forever as an example, at the end of that one, Bond kills Winston Kidd on a steamboat, but I don't consider that to be the true ending. I think the proper ending is all the stuff that happens on the oil rig. So when it came to my assessment of Diamonds, I included both the Winston Kidd fight and the oil rig sequence. But if we take another example, The World Is Not Enough, Bond chasing down Renard on a submarine, that stuff goes on for so long that I only included that in my assessment of The World Is Not Enough. I didn't go as far back as Bond killing Elektra. So with every film, I sort of had to make a judgment call as to how much material to use, if you see what I mean. Right, let's get on with it and find out what is my least favourite James Bond ending of all time. It's the one from Die Another Day, which is also my least favourite Bond film of all time. The main reason for that is the ending. It's pretty atrocious. It looks like it was thrown together in about 5 minutes, which it maybe was, because originally this film was meant to end in some kind of indoor Japanese beach or something, but I don't think they could get planning permission, so they had to come up with a very late alternative, and this is what they came up with. It's not very exciting at all. They've got this corny thing as well, where the man fights the man in one room and the woman fights the woman in the other room. It's just really PC and typical early noughties, and I could just sleep through this finale. I really could. Next up at 23 is the other ending that I don't like in this series. So after this one, we get 22 good endings. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the London stuff, Inspector. I'll defend the rest of the movie. I really loved the movie up to this point. When I did my rankings of all the movies quite recently, I think Spectre was in my top 10. I am a big defender of it. But yeah, this ending though, not so much. Apparently, during production of this, the studio weren't happy with what they were doing with the last half an hour of this movie, so they insisted on lots of changes and reshoots and things. But if those went ahead, then I dread to think what the ending originally looked like. Next up, we have, at 22, The Man with the Golden Gun, a film which tends to come quite low no matter what type of James Bond ranking I'm doing. I like how exotic this finale is, and the funhouse is cool to look at, but the fight with Nick Nack is a bit tame. I think they probably should have brought back that Kung Fu guy who Bond fights halfway through the movie at the Kung Fu school. I know he was mostly High-Fat's man rather than Scaramanga's man, but it would have been cool if they'd found a way to get him involved with the ending. It could have been a good fight on the boat. The duel with Scaramanga, it's not as exciting as it should be. Scaramanga basically camps on one side of the map and Bond then tricks him, but I think there should have been a bit more back and forth, you know, one man getting the upper hand and then the other man getting the upper hand. Make it a bit more epic, if you see what I mean. 21, we've got Tomorrow Never Dies. I like the villains' deaths on the stealth boat, but everything else is a bit messy. It's just full of machine gun fire and noise, and I can't remember the order of the stuff that happens. The romance at the end feels a little bit tacked on as well. Number 20, we have Diamonds Are Forever, that film we were talking about at the beginning. So the Winston Kidd stuff is fun, but the oil rig sequence is marred by the fact that we don't get a proper ending to Blofeld. Is he dead when he gets swung into that control room? I don't know. Originally, he was meant to escape on that sub, and Bond would give chase, and then they'd end up in this mine, and they'd have one last fight, and Bond would chuck Blofeld into a meat grinder. I'd have loved to have seen all that stuff. That would have been a proper ending. I don't think they could film it, though, because of time or money or something, and it's a shame, because every time we get to the ending in this film, it's still fun, but it does make me a little bit sad that they didn't finish it properly. 19, we have Skyfall. So there's some good one-liners at the end of this, and some good explosions and things. I particularly like the fight Bond has with a henchman on the ice, but the ending with Silver is a bit anticlimactic. Bond just turning up and throwing a knife into his back. They could have done more with that, I think. But M's death is emotional. 18, we have You Only Live Twice. Obviously, this takes place in one of the best sets of all time. My only criticism, though, is that, once again, we don't get a proper ending to Blofeld. So, same thing applies here as it did when I was judging Diamonds Are Forever. The last we see of Blofeld, he's turning a key in a lock, but does he die in the lava? Does he escape? Who knows? And just a small thing, but it always bugs me as well, how he turns that key with his left hand from where he stood. Even if he was left-handed, he should be turning that key with his right hand. It's a bit weird. I guess they wanted to have him do it that way so they could have the camera sort of facing the lock, but it's just a small niggly thing, but every time I watch the movie I notice it. 17, we've got Casino Royale. Now obviously the villain is long gone by the time we get to the house sinking into the Venice canal, so Bond's mostly just running around killing nobodies. Vesper Lynd's death is very sad, obviously, but I prefer the scene that comes just after it, where Bond shoots Mr. White in the leg, and then he comes out with this famous line, and the music comes on. I've been watching Bond films at the cinema since The Living Daylights, a long, long time now. No Bond film has ever given me such a feel-good factor coming out of the cinema as this one did. I was on a high, I really was. 16, we have Octopussy. So I'd have liked a bit more of a confrontation between Bond and Kamal Khan face-to-face, but the plane stuff is still fun, and I am including all the stuff that happens at the big top with this finale. So Bond as a clown trying to evade the cops is quite funny, and the ticking bomb, there's a bit of tension with that, actually. I think they let it go down to like 1 second in this film. They don't do the whole 007 thing that they did in Goldfinger. 15, we have Quantum of Solace. I like this scene that you see in the picture where Bond learns his lesson by not killing the spy, and I'm including all the stuff that happens at the Bolivian hotel in the desert. The way that Bond kills Green is absolutely brutal, and I love it. Although I do think there could have been more mercenaries hanging around at the hotel for Bond to kill. It feels a bit sparse. I feel the same way almost about the ending to The Man with the Golden Gun as well. 14, we have For Your Eyes Only. I love the battle between Bond and Faustus on the rock face. And Bond's last clip barely looks like it's hanging into the rock. It looks like it's stuck there with blue tack or something. Bond and Kriegler's a good fight as well. Bond and Christatos not so much. Again, knife in the back, similar to Skyfall. And Bond doesn't even throw the knife this time. And just a small thing, but I don't like the way Bond's dressed for this ending. It looks like he's dressed to go on the set of Emmerdale or something. Number 13, we have On Her Majesty's Secret Service. This is my favourite Bond film of all time, but the ending only comes 13th. It's not that I don't like it. I like all these endings at this point. I don't disagree with Tracy dying at all. It's very emotional, but I'm not just going for how dramatic an ending is when I'm judging these. I'm going for the feel-good factor, how exciting they were, lots of other stuff. And this one is just middle of the road for me, even though it's obviously a brilliant Bond film overall. Number 12, we've got License to Kill. I'm including all the stuff that happens in the drug factory, but the last half an hour of this film, there's so many cool little things going on. It feels like somebody must have taken like a month to sit down and come up with all this stuff and slot it all together and make it work. Complete opposite from the endings of those two films I was talking about at the beginning, Die Another Day and Spectre, that feel like they were thrown together in somebody's lunchtime. Number 11, we have The World Is Not Enough that we were talking about earlier. I didn't like this one so much when I saw it at the cinema. I thought it was the weakest part of the film, but the more I've seen the film over the years, I've come to appreciate the submarine battle more and more, actually. I particularly like the part where Bond has to swim on the outside of the submarine to get from one end to the other. I'm not sure how realistic that would be at that depth, but it's still a lot of fun. And yeah, the end part with Bond and Christmas in her dress is a little bit cheesy, but it is funny. So moving into the top 10 now, we've got Dr. No. This is a brilliant ending. The dinner table scene is extremely well written. The part where Bond escapes his cell to get into that creepy little pipe, that's probably my favourite bit of the whole movie. And the fight with Dr. No on the little platform that lowers itself into the boiling water, absolutely brilliant, really exciting. The only part I don't like is the really old style music that plays just before the credits. I had to put my fingers in my ears like that. It's really grating. Number 9, Live and Let Die. Sad story with this one. When I was a kid, back in the days of analog TV, I was watching this and I was really enjoying it. And I just got to the point near the end where Bond and Solitaire are running around those caves trying to evade capture. And I think Bond and Solitaire sort of hide against a wall or something. And then the signal went just like that. Fuzzy screen. I was twisting the aerial around trying to get it back, you know, like you had to do in the old days. Couldn't get the screen back on, and because it's live TV, that's it, you know, it's gone. Absolutely gutted. But the ending is really good. I mean, there's the Baron Samedi fight where he chucks him in the snakes. Kananga's death, some people think it's a bit cheesy, but I really like it. And then you get this extra fight with Tee-Hee on the train, so there's lots to enjoy here. Number 8, we've got Thunderball. Now, if I was only counting the fight with Largo on the boat, then this would be coming near the bottom of the rankings. But I'm also including all the cool stuff that happens under the water. There's so many good skirmishes down there. I like the one where Bond he swims into this cave and 3 frogmen follow him in, and then he comes out of of it at a different part, swims back around, drops a bomb inside and takes out these 3 guys. Really good. But yeah, the fight with Largo, it just feels like they were trying to do something that wasn't possible in 1965 because the back projection just looks awful. I think they should have just had the fight on the boat while it was still, you know. Number 7, we've got The Living Daylights, Bond fighting Necros on these bags at the back of this plane. It's extremely exciting. Then he has to get back in the plane and find which bag's got the bomb in it. And then once this is all over, Bond goes to Whittaker's mansion and there's one last fight where Whittaker's got these toys that are secretly guns. It's brilliant. Number 6, we've got A View to a Kill. So this picture is a little bit early. I'm mainly including everything from when the mine floods onwards, but Bond hanging on that rope and then they're going through the city. Extremely exciting. And then the fight with Zorin on the Golden Gate Bridge, and Zorin does his little smile. I just love all that stuff. Coming into the top 5 now, we have GoldenEye. Bond and Trevelyan have this epic fight on top of this satellite. I suffer from vertigo a little bit, so any Bond ending that's at height is going to be extra effective to me. So these last few slides, we've had GoldenEye, A View to a Kill, The Living Daylights, all stuff happening very high up. But yeah, I absolutely love the end to this film. Definitely the best ending of a Pierce Brosnan Bond film by a mile, I think. Next, at number 4, we have Goldfinger. So my main reason for really liking this one is the fight with Oddjob, which I absolutely love. The confrontation with Goldfinger's fun as well, and he says, "Congratulations on your promotion, Goldfinger." And I just think Fort Knox as a location is just such a brilliant place to end a James Bond film. And the set that they design is brilliant, because this wasn't filmed at Fort Knox, far from it. Number 3, From Russia with Love. So this ending doesn't take place at one particular location or villain's lair. It's like a string of scenes all put together, the best of which is the one that we open with on the train. That's where I consider the ending to begin in this film, when Bond gets on the train and all that stuff with Red Grant having dinner, and then they have a fight. And then there's a bit where there's a helicopter chasing Bond and he has to climb in these rocks to shoot the guy in the helicopter. And then he's on a boat not long after that, taking down this fleet of boats. And then finally he goes to Venice and has a fight with Rosa Klebb. And all these scenes are seemingly back to back in a short period of time. Brilliant ending. Next at number 2 is going to be an ending which is a surprise to a lot of people. It's Moonraker. You hardly ever see Moonraker come number 2 in a James Bond ranking. This is far from my second favourite Bond film, let me just say. When I did my rankings for the films, I think Moonraker was down in like 14th or 15th, but that was when I was judging all of the film. Today I'm just judging the endings. And from the moment that Bond finds Drax's lair in Rio, I just love everything that comes after that point. All that space battle stuff, I absolutely love it. I do like sci-fi films, so yeah, this is up my alley. The way that Bond takes out Drax is good. I like that Jaws turns good at the end, because everything he'd been doing up to this point in this film, it just annoys me. They're making him too comic and stuff. I like the music that plays as well, the eerie music when they lose the gravity. And yeah, it's just really, really satisfying. And it finishes off with Q doing that funny one-liner where he says, I think they're attempting re-entry, sir. Just absolutely perfect. But it's pipped by one other film. My favourite James Bond ending of all time belongs to The Spy Who Loved Me. So both of Jaws' movies are 1 and 2, funnily enough. With this, I've counted everything from the big battle on the tanker through to everything on Atlantis. Absolutely brilliant. The fight with Jaws where Bond gets him on that magnet, but Jaws kills the shark and then just swims off. Love that. And then Bond and Triple X getting discovered on that little boat by the superiors is a lot of fun. And I even like the disco version of Nobody Does It Better. And Stromberg's death is good as well, I think. So there we have it. That is my best James Bond ending of all time. It's not my favourite James Bond film of all time. It comes number 2 in that regard, but there we go. Right, so there we have it. That's all for today. That was my rankings of all 24 James Bond films. Probably this is going to be my last rankings video of 2020. I do have other James Bond rankings video in my James Bond playlist. I've also got another playlist where I do rankings of other franchises and stuff. Check that out if you want. Subscribe if you haven't already. But other than that, I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and cheerio, bye-bye.